Hey, Supernatural fans, are you excited to talk about Supernatural? Because I know that Katie and I are, and we're talking all about Season 12, Episode 13, Family Feud, coming at you right now.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
So we found out there's this little website called TuneFind. Thanks to our engineer and thanks to another girl that had come by and told us about where we can find all the songs. And of course, we had to have this one for Supernatural. Who sings this? Is this the Doors? Is it the Doors? I can't.
The Rolling Stones.
Rolling Stones. Yes. Fabulous. So you guys, we're talking all about Supernatural today. Thank you for joining Katie and I. My name is Lyndsey Wegner. You can tweet me at Lyndsey Wegner, and I'm joined today by Katie Campbell.
Hey guys, you can find me on Twitter at Katie Campbell. That's Katie with 3 E's Campbell.
Katie, should we tell them the bad news?
Oh, the bad news.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be missing from the after show for just a little bit, but I should be back. You know, I'm just gonna take a little breather, like Mary had to take a breather, right? I got some stuff to take care of, and I will be back though.
She'll be back. She's gonna be back. We're not losing her for forever.
But you know what? I will be keeping up with this show. I will be tweeting. You guys can tweet me. We can talk about it, and I will try. The time difference will be a little bit iffy, but I will try to call in as much as I can.
Because we need to get Katie's input on what happens on the show, because I need someone to chat with. You know, Alexis isn't going to be here. Well, we're going to figure it out, you guys. We're going to figure it out to keep everybody here together, sharing all the things Supernatural. We're obviously talking about Season 12, Episode 13, Family Feud. Katie, what were your initial impressions of this week's episode?
I really loved the episode. I like that we had, everybody except for Cass. We didn't really have a cast sighting, but we had everybody. We were dealing with all the different things with, we got Mary and the British Men of Letters, and we got Crowley and Lucifer and what he's got going on, and the boys, and then we have Rowena and Gavin, and it just seemed like a jam-packed full of people, and we got a little bit of everything for all the storylines, and I really enjoyed it. We got Lucifer's baby storyline, which we've been waiting for, talking about, so that was a nice little bonus too.
That's what I've kind of been waiting for, is to find out what's happening with Lucifer's baby. And while we didn't find out much about it, we did find out that Lucifer knows that it still exists, and that was a surprise to Crowley, which created a little tension between him and the boys, which we're going to get into, obviously. But I agree with you. I think there was a lot that was covered in this episode. Kind of like last week, where they kind of jumped around a little bit. And I know somebody had said that it was a mix of Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction. I saw Pulp Fiction a long time ago when it first came out, so it didn't even occur to me that that was where the title cards were coming from. And I don't think I've ever seen Reservoir Dogs.
I actually haven't either.
It's probably pretty violent, and as much as I love the violence of Supernatural, I tend to stay away from that. It gives me bad dreams. It's like reading. What was the Hunger Games at night before bed? I was having dreams about kids killing other kids, and it was like,
oh,
I need to stop reading this before bed.
Did you have dreams like that when you were watching the movies too?
I do, because I dream in color and have a very, very vivid imagination and stuff, so everything would always be super duper, like I was right inside of it. So
do you dream about supernatural things like the vamps and the...
Thankfully, for the most part, I don't. I had a really odd dream about riding a bicycle one day back from Supernatural from up here in Burbank, and I got lost in one of the, in LA and Los Angeles, you guys, there's random areas, which I'm sure there are all over, wherever you go. We're going to get back to Supernatural, I promise, but there are places all over Los Angeles where you can be in a great neighborhood in one block, and then 2 blocks away, you're in a scary neighborhood. And I was on a bike riding back from Supernatural, riding back from AFTERBUZZ, riding home for some reason in my dream, and 4 guys came up to me and tried to kill me, using a knife. And it was because that was the episode when Dean and Sam were stuck in the bunker. And it's not stuck in the bunker, we're in that secret place, and there was all that fighting going on, and all the weird crazy stuff going on, and
when they were captured.
When they were captured. So I think it was just that and everything. So yes, I do get affected by it, so that's why I haven't seen Reservoir Dogs. But anyway, let's talk about the episode. In our little preview before the show starts, we saw Abaddon showing Crowley that he has a son, Gavin, but we know that if Crowley changes anything in history, it impacts everything that happens in the future, obviously. So he hides Gavin away. We know the princes of hell know about Lucifer, and there's a baby involved because Dagon has taken an interest in it, which now leaves us in Andover, Massachusetts, 6 months ago, where a woman is getting ready for bed. There's something in her house. And did you find it odd that she laid in the middle of the bed?
Yeah, maybe. But
I was like, oh, she's going in the middle of the bed because something's going to get her.
Yeah, you knew something was going to
You
attack
lay
her
on
in the bed.
Who lays in the middle of the bed?
Yeah, but she would have still been attacked if she was on the side.
Oh, she would have been, but it just made for a better camera angle for them to just come up around her and just...
This whole scene, though, was so full of tension. I loved it so much.
You were waiting for it to happen from the beginning in the bathroom where she's brushing her teeth and getting ready, and then she's in the room and you see the ghost.
She almost didn't go in the closet, right?
Yeah, because she saw something on her dress, so she wiped it away and then put it back in the closet.
Which made me think about, like, times if I've ever tried to go put something in the closet, I'm like, oh, there's a stain on it? That's weird. I gotta go take it to the laundry room instead. Maybe I missed a ghost encounter in the closet. Although the ghost was traveling all over the place.
It was all over the place. But obviously it does end up killing her. Spatters blood onto a picture frame, which leads us back into the present day 6 months later. With Sam and Dean in the bunker, they do know from Cass that they can't find Kelly Klein. There's no trace of her whatsoever. And a teacher's body was found in Iowa. His tongue was ripped out. And they think maybe Mom would want to work with them. But meanwhile, Mary's killing some sort of demon using a special toy. It looked like kind of like it was burning him, almost like a laser, but from the inside out.
Yeah, there was nothing shooting from the gun, but it was just like invisible to the eye, whatever was happening with that.
Meanwhile, creepy Mr. Ketch is sitting on the sidelines, like timing her and watching her like a weirdo.
Yeah, like, does she not think, okay, I know she thinks that they've got some effective ways to kill, you know, these supernatural creatures, and things are going well because they've actually eliminated a lot of problems and saved a lot of people, so she likes that. But is she not saying, like, well, why do you want me? Like, what's in it for you with this? You're timing me. You're like, why isn't she thinking about these things?
This is where I thought it was interesting because the way Mr. Ketch, you know, he said, let's go get a drink when she finally, like, finished killing this thing. Dean calls her, and she says that she's outside of Newark, but she's resting up after the whole Ramiel situation and makes an excuse basically not to go help them in Des Moines. And when we come back to it later, Mr. Ketch is, you know, talks to Mary about that drink, but is that the next page? Hold on, I'm gonna find it. He tells Mary basically to disengage from the boys, and that the work that they're doing with the British Men of Letters is demanding and must come first because the Men of Letters are his family. But she's like, well, my family comes first too. It's the same thing.
He, like, had no argument there saying British Men of Letters come first because it's my family. Well, what about her family? Like, do you realize what you're saying to her? That doesn't make any sense.
And she's obviously going to fight for her family. He hasn't poisoned or brainwashed her enough to make her go against the boys.
Well, she still has her guard up every time she's interacting with either Mick or Mr. Ketch. She's always kind of like, oh, you know, she's not going to go get a drink with Mr. Ketch after they're done. She's going to hold back a little bit. However, I just feel like she's not asking enough questions like, why do they want to just help? Nobody wants to just help anymore. There's some other stuff going on.
And he also mentions that she's weaker when she talks to them. And he basically says that she's one of the best hunters he's ever seen, and that this is the best version of herself, and she's probably scared of how good she is at this. Did you think he was just saying this to her, or do you think he meant it? What do you guys think?
I think that he must have meant it, right? Like, why is he investing so much time into her?
I don't know.
Is it all because he's trying to get to the Winchester boys and he's trying to gain her trust to get to them?
That's what I'm worried about.
So you don't think he might not have meant that?
I think she's a great hunter. I mean, I don't know if she's the best. We haven't seen her hunt in a long time, and now she's coming back to it, and she does have clearly, you know, is excited about it. And
she looked pretty kick-ass too.
She did. But
the way that they shot that was amazing.
But the way that the boys do it is far more physical. Like, she's got all these fancy toys where she doesn't even really have to. Not that she doesn't have to do anything, because she does.
She's headbutting though in that scene, even though she used that at the end. She headbutted him.
She
first.
did. She did. I mean, so it showed some physical, the way that the boys do. I don't know. I think he's building her up a little bit. I'm not saying she's not a great hunter, because she is, but I'm saying he's building her up and he's trying to butter her up for something else.
To get her to trust him
There's
more?
a catch to Mr. Catch.
I know that's been the whole thing this whole time. So do you think he's trying to get her to trust him so he can get farther into whatever he's doing?
He can get into her mind more to make her go with him versus with the boys. But we see a little bit of a change at the end, which I'm glad about.
If he wants the boys, though, if that's what we're thinking, he might want them for whatever reason, why does he say break it off with them? Is he just trying to test to see where she is?
Well, probably, and to see how she reacts, if she's going to say no, family comes first, or if she's going to pause. Somebody in the chat said that she's just like John. Giovanni says she's just like John. John is dangerous, but when he's around Sam and Dean, he's weak. The British men of letters seem to want the Winchesters more than any other American hunters. Thank you, Ivan. Yeah, Catch is hitting on Mary. I don't know if he's hitting on... Well, you did ask her for a drink, but I think this is all to basically get closer to the boys and find out more about them and what they're doing.
Well, they know what they're doing.
Well, they do know what
do they want to do with them?
But what the end game is for them. So Crowley and Lucifer. Crowley is taking his time, telling Lucifer he's going to resist until he's been worn down by his utter helplessness, and he demands to be called master. He said his minions were in the cage, and Crowley's intelligence was able to create these chains that are like being in the cage to keep him...
Made up of the same molecules.
The same molecules. They were able to create this to hold Lucifer. Getting him there was slightly more difficult, which is where we see the flashback to Sam, Dean, Rowena, Cass, Crowley, and Kelly when they were telling her about having Lucifer's baby. And while Rowena did the spell, he managed to revert the spell, and instead of sending Lucifer to the cage, Crowley had found the discarded vessel of Mark Pellegrino years
6 months
ago. He
before.
said years ago.
Oh, years?
He said years ago. And then his essence went back to it instead of the cage, and this will be his final home. And
I'm glad that they went through and broke that down, because I know that's a question
a little
that
bit
all
confusing,
of us have
and
had.
how he got there and why he didn't go into the cage. And it's interesting because Lucifer is also wondering, why didn't you just send me to the cage?
Yeah.
Is it because he can get out of it and he knows he has a way of getting into somebody's mind?
Well, what does Crowley want? Does he want the revenge? What does he want?
Do you think that if he has Lucifer, he feels like he's in better hands?
Maybe. I really thought it was interesting, though, that between the two of them, I love Lucifer just kind of laughing at him and being like, oh, well, thanks. You know, he's just so confident. Nothing's going to break that confidence of like, okay, you think this is going to work? Well, I'm going to figure a way out of this. But I also love seeing Crowley not being, like, not cowering at all. He just seemed like...
He's not backing down.
And he didn't look scared.
No.
In these interactions, which I think we've seen before. He's looked like he felt vulnerable or something when Lucifer had a little bit more control over him and he was worried, or, you know, those looks on his face that we've seen in the past. But this time he was just like very strong. He was confident with his plan, whatever that is. And which I like seeing between the two of them.
I mean, and obviously Lucifer cannot falter in any step of the way. So there's no way that he's going to be scared or have any sort of fear about what Crowley has planned for him.
And they prepared the body and improved it.
So this is his final resting. That's what they said. This is his final place.
What are the improvements?
I don't know. I feel like we're going to get more of that.
I love Mark Pellegrino as Lucifer too. I'm really excited about this.
I love that he plays the most powerful characters when he is cast. I mean, wasn't he God in Lost? Or he was a major powerful character in Lost too. I mean, it's great. So Sam and Dean are driving to Des Moines. They discover the Massachusetts case. And Dean mentions that he feels like something's going on with Mary. And Sam says that she just needs more time. When they get to Des Moines, Iowa. But before they meet up with the museum director, we see another attack happen by this ghost to the timber troop leader in the bathroom. When the lights start to flicker, the stall doors start moving, his breath gets cold. There's ice forming in the water and on the mirror.
He was staring at the ice too, and I just felt like I wanted to like punch it or like see what would
Break
happen
it.
if you break it. Would it come out and freeze again? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, that was really like a neat effect.
Yeah.
And then the demon attacks him. When Sam and Dean meet with the museum director, Dr. Ocello, they realize the demon or ghost, as Dean assumes, is attacking people who work with kids. So we know it's some sort of teacher vibe. And obviously museums have high EMF. It's EMF, right?
Yeah, think about that. I thought how
All
fun
the
that would be, though,
history.
to go to a bunch of museums and see who's attached to all these little artifacts.
So cool,
Fun.
because there is. I'm attached to the clothes that I get rid of.
Man, that's a hard thing to do.
I have enough trouble trying to get rid of clothes and shoes that have holes in it, let alone a pendant or something that really, really meant something to me. You know, like you think about back on the Titanic when those people lost everything, that these were their lives that they were taking to the back to the United States. I think about Rose from Titanic and her mirror, and when she looks at it and she gets teary-eyed because these were her possessions.
Yeah, and what ghosts are linked to these, you know, artifacts. I saw actually the Titanic, the one that travels around, when I was in Georgia.
Okay.
They were at the Georgia Aquarium, and I got to see like a bunch of things that they, you know,
Oh, wow.
brought back up from the bottom of the ocean. What if some, you know, ghosts are
Ghosts,
attached to that?
You might have been the
those
presence
things.
of a ghost.
Nothing happened to me, though, clearly.
We see Kelly in a diner. She has looks like barely enough money for a small orange juice. Basically, the waitress says that life is over once you have a kid. But once they're born, you'll love a little devil.
I know.
And we get the blue eyes. Which
Yeah,
means
so
it's an
cool.
angel.
Clue number one is the little,
Number
little
one.
devil
And the
comment.
devil and the blue eyes. Dean is talking about the Aztec ghost at this Aztec museum. And they have a remnant of this bow of this ship that sunk in a storm in 1723, came from Andover. It is on loan to this museum in Iowa. And they realize, Gavin McLeod, this was the ship he was supposed to be on coming back from.
Yeah, and this is what I love too about, like, this is the case of the week, right? We're going through but it's also linked to, we're bringing Gavin back in, so that's linked to Crowley, who's, you know, and then linked to Rowena, and I just love how everything kind of fit together. Although it was still case of the week, it was bringing back somebody we know.
And bringing back something even more later with Rowena, which I loved.
Yeah.
So Lucifer's actually laughing at Crowley, thinking these chains are going to work. And he says, you know, Crowley's not even going to see it coming when he comes for him. And then reminds him of his baby and Kelly. And Lucifer says that he can feel the power of the baby. So the baby is not dead, which is news to Crowley.
And why does Lucifer think this baby's going to come out? I mean, I know there's so much speculation about how this baby's going to come out and what it's going to be like, right? Like, it's going to be evil. It's going to ruin the world. And we think that could be a great start for season 13, you know? Like, oh, the baby, it's crazy.
The baby's born or whatever.
Yeah, and it's going to create something horrible for the world. But Lucifer was, at one point, one of God's most trusted angels. So it's like, would the baby start out good and then have bad tendencies? Like, oh, I mean, I don't...
and because it's coming from a human, is it going to have good instilled in it right there?
Yeah.
And
I know we
already
talked
be
about-
more good than it is evil. Does it have to learn to be evil?
And I know we talked about all the Nephilim stuff when we were talking with Cass and how that's like one of the most dangerous things, but I still question, like, how this baby's actually going to be. And, you know, Lucifer's so set on, like, listen, if I'm not coming for you, my own flesh and blood's coming for you.
Dean calls Crowley saying he needs a favor. And Crowley calls the boys morons because he said he let Lucifer's child live. And Crowley said he would help the boys with Gavin once they take care of Lucifer's baby drama. And Lucifer realizes that Crowley also has a son, and they're both single fathers. And that was such like great, like, funny moment. Way to insert the humor right there, writers.
I know.
And then we get a little tidbit about two teachers letting the kids onto the bus at the Aztec Museum. A spirit drops a pendant into one of the teacher's pockets, so we know that these are the next victims coming up. Sam and Dean realize that the ghost is tethered to something on the ship. They need intel on the vessel. They call Rowena for help, who says she doesn't want to help. and they still owe her for what happened in Arkansas. But if Rowena finds out, then they'll have something for Rowena that she will really love.
Yeah, and did you think that that was something that she would really love?
I didn't think she'd really, really love knowing she was a grandmother. I thought she'd kind of be like, I don't like being a mother. I don't want to be a grandmother.
Right. And she's got her own issues with Crowley, and this is Crowley's
But
son.
perhaps they'd know Rowena enough to know that she would have this agenda.
Okay. Well, I don't even think I don't know if they knew that. I mean,
I don't know if they did.
I feel like it makes sense to her character that she had that agenda, though, because otherwise she would just be, I don't know. She was being so sweet and being so helpful. And yes, we've seen her be sweet and helpful, but she always has something planned up her sleeve. You know, she's got her own agenda. Mm-hmm. So I like that they threw that in there.
I loved that.
It's true to her character.
It's completely true to her character, and the ending was just phenomenal. Mm-hmm. We see Kelly walking, a man's following her, 2 people end up surrounding her. But Dagon, I knew it right away,
Mm-hmm.
called it last week, with her yellow eyes, appears, kills both of them. They hide out in a warehouse, and she mentions that Lucifer used to be an archangel and was one of God's chosen. And she says the 2 people who tried to kill her were angels. So what she believes of good and bad may not necessarily be true, and that this baby could save them all. The good guys want her dead, but Dagon can protect her and her son, and she doesn't need to be on the run anymore. Mm-hmm. So I think she's going to trust her. Kelly is going to trust her temporarily, which is going to give her the reason to bring this baby out and keep her protected from Cass, the angels, and everyone else.
Well, number one, what she said is so true. Like, it's not black and white, and we've seen that throughout this entire show. And number 2, she has, like, pennies left in her wallet. So she, you know, this is offering her a little bit of a refuge for, you know, and Kelly might try to be like, okay, thanks for the help, you know, but she's, you know, now that she's trusting Dagon has an investment in what's going on here with this little baby and what it's all about.
Oh, she's excited. This was exciting for her. We knew that last week with Ramiel saying she'd taken an interest in it. So I wonder what her angle is with all of this as well. If it's something to do with her own agenda or her own selfishness, or if it actually has to do with Lucifer or the Winchesters, potentially the Winchesters, since they killed Ramiel.
Yeah.
But there's something there. We get Sam and Dean at the bus stop welcoming Gavin to the 21st century. They basically told him Crowley was sick to get him there. And when they show him a picture, he says that's the ship that he was supposed to be on. Rowena gets out of the car, and they introduce him to her as his grandmother. Crowley had told Gavin that the ship had gone down in a storm, and he remembers Mistress Alloway went down with the ship, and she was a teacher. He bought this locket for his girlfriend, Fiona Duncan, the love of his life. Mm-hmm. And he said it was too dangerous for her to make the journey, so he didn't think either of them had the locket. And he waited for him to come by. He waited for her to come by that night, but he left and was sent somewhere else by Abaddon, who had a nice little appearance.
Bringing it back to that scene.
And Fiona must have gotten aboard the ship and hidden herself, and he's very upset that she's a ghost. And that's when Dean discovers that this locket is in the display case. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what are you thinking at this point?
About
with
what?
Gavin and Fiona, and are you sure that this is the ghost? And she's...
Yeah, I was on board, and I was thinking,
why did you think she, I mean, aside from feeling like she lost Gavin, why did you think she was trying to get vengeance?
Well, at this point, did we find out about the teacher? No.
No, not yet.
You know, maybe because she just felt left behind. I wouldn't understand why it would just be the teachers or people in charge of kids, but there's a lot of that when we deal with supernatural shows in general, and besides, you know, even this one, that ghosts are, you know, they have a vengeance. They're not like something... They weren't ready, whatever it is, you know, so they become these mean, evil spirits.
But she wasn't even coming for Gavin. It was clearly something else, which brings us to Sam and Dean talking to Dr. Ocella. They tell her that an item is missing, and a tour had gone through a day prior from the Pembroke school for girls. We see 2 teachers grading papers. The light's flickering. It gets cold as the pictures start to fall off the wall. They kill one of the teachers, the one that the pendant had actually gone into her pocket.
She just wanted some wine.
Man, don't we all just want a glass of wine at the end of the day? At the end of grading papers?
I know.
And the other teacher escapes to the other room, but she gets thrown into the bookcase by Fiona. We now know it's Fiona. Sam and Dean barge in and shoot her, but she disappears.
Yeah. We saved the one teacher.
Save the one teacher. So Gavin basically does a spell asking the spirit to make her presence known. He calls for Fiona and she appears before him as a ghost, but turns into the true version of herself, which I thought was nice. I wanted to see her in her at least innocent form so we could understand a little bit more.
Very sweet for a second, but then quickly turned south again and she got all angry.
She says he abandoned her, but he said he was sent somewhere else. And basically, the crew came to scorn and mock her after she'd hidden herself on the ship, and then they used her in ways she didn't even want to talk about.
That's horrible.
So, and no one protected her. In fact, the mistress Alloway had said she deserved it for throwing herself at Gavin. So her big thing was teachers claim to love children, but then betray them. So she couldn't punish the mistress, so now the others will pay her debt. And then she disappears, which this is obviously hard to hear, and I understand her need for for revenge,
but just against because of this one teacher's comment, because she deserved it for essentially being in love. It's sad, but like, who's to say that all the other teachers are going to make nasty comments like that, right?
Well, and this was the way for us to bring Gavin back around so that we could not change history, but keep history the same, but also fix what happened. Mm-hmm. And so basically he says that Fiona thought her life was so unbearable that death would have been a relief. They agree that she needs to be stopped. There's a way to fix everything by tampering with time so that Fiona isn't alone on the ship. Rowena's not necessarily happy about it at first, but Gavin agrees to it in order to keep history intact. And basically he can spare Fiona in the nightmare that she's been trapped in. And him and Fiona can spend eternity together.
Yeah.
Which is very poetic and romantic.
I've seen, though, throughout this chat, while we've been on air, and also I felt this in the moment while I was watching. I felt like it was such a, they didn't think about anything else. It was just, let's just do it this way. And why was just like this the only option? Like, yeah, this is the best option, and we're going to go with this. It wasn't like we're going to...
I don't know. That's a really good question, because there's always a way to stop the I guess it's to bring the true feeling, but there was no way for her to get back at Mistress Alloway, so there had to be something else that they could do.
Yeah.
And
so, well, also too, right here in the chat, Art Master Austin Prophet says, "Do you guys think Sam and Dean would have found a way to save Gavin without sending him back in time if he were related to them, or not be related to Crowley, possibly?" Mm-hmm. So, but the whole thing, the issue I've seen in the comments too is the issue about Adam being left
behind, and them saying they stick with family, but they're leaving Adam behind. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was so quick. They're always like trying to brainstorm to save everyone, and I guess yes, we did save all the lives that she killed, which was what 1, 2, 3, 4 at this point.
But
right?
do you think the British men of letters would have had a way to kill her so that Gavin wouldn't have had to have been gone?
Wouldn't have had to have been have to go
Gavin
back in time.
wouldn't have had to go back in time to fix the mistake. They would have just killed Fiona.
Sure. Yes, but however, they were not. That wouldn't save the 4 people that died. So I'm wondering, I don't know if the British men of letters are exactly watching the boys right now. They're busy with Mary, but if they are watching the boys, or wouldn't they be like, "Wow, good job, boys! You saved 4 people."
Because remember, they don't care that they're saving people; they're getting rid of the ghost. Doesn't matter if those 4 other people.
They got rid of the ghost by doing this.
Yes, and they were able to bring those people back to life, which was great. It was as if it never happened. Basically, history replayed itself to not have this happen.
Well, remember the issue of the boys letting monsters go sometimes is that there are people that get in the way and they accidentally lose their lives because they're just in the way of things, and this is how the boys are fighting. But
well, it's like, are they going to go after Kate? because Kate's out there.
Well, yeah. And this way, though, they saved all those innocent people that died because of this ghost, and they killed the ghost, or the ghost never existed.
I don't think they care about the innocent people. That the innocent people died when they died, but they got rid of the ghost, and they wanted to take care of it right then and there.
Yeah.
And this didn't have to send somebody back or ask the king of hell or his mother, witch, for help then. They did it themselves.
Right.
So this is when Crowley shows up, and he says this is not going to happen. He's not going to let Gavin go, and he doesn't want Sam and Dean messing with his family. But Gavin's already made up his mind, and Crowley's like, well, why did you even call me? And he's like, because I wanted to say goodbye, which I thought was good. And I know some of you in the chat are saying you actually felt bad for Crowley in this episode.
Too.
I did too.
It was just like, all right, Crowley, listen, this is the best thing, so just deal with it. You know, you get to sit here and stare him in the face, and you don't get time to talk about it, and this is what's happening. Sorry about it. That's sad.
And Ivan's right. The British men of letters are sociopathic. They don't care about innocent people or monsters. They don't. They just want the quickest way to get rid of it and be done with it using their fancy toys, and that's it. They don't. It's like kill, but don't ask questions. You know, like whatever. Ask questions later. There's no repercussions for it. They don't care what the end result is. So Rowena says to let Gavin do what he wants to do and what he believes is right. And Crowley's about to stop him when Rowena freezes him, puts him in a spell, so he's frozen. And Gavin apologizes, leaves the room with the boys while Rowena stays. And Sam and Dean are basically creating a spell when Gavin cuts his hand for the final ingredient.
Well, it was a little fishy, too, how when this whole plan, we were talking about the plan, Rowena's like, oh, so then he would just go and lose his life? And then all of a sudden, 2 seconds later, she's like, let him do what he wants.
Yeah, she's upset momentarily, but then she's like, let him do what he wants when Crowley shows up. And they tweak the spell so Gavin could use it. Hopefully it's all for the best. That's what Gavin says. Sam starts a spell. The sigil lights. Fiona appears next to Gavin. They glow in this golden light and then disappear together.
Do they? So are they going back to go through the pain?
I don't think they're
going down?
I don't think they're going through the pain of it. I think it's just him protecting her from the people, and then.
Okay.
I hope it's not. Hopefully they don't have to go through that.
Yeah.
But once again, the boys mentioned that the teachers are back to work like nothing happened. No Fiona, no angry ghost. History was changed, but didn't affect or impact anything in the future. Mary walks into the bunker with burgers and beer. She's forgiven by the boys right away. They ask what she's been up to. She says a bunch of yoga, meditation, tai chi, and then says she's been melting, I couldn't tell. Rougarou brains.
So those were Rougarous that she was fighting.
Rougarous.
Yeah. So
what a great word.
It was so funny though with burgers. She comes in with burgers and beer, and I was literally writing in my notebook burgers, beer, and lies, because she was saying like yoga, just hanging out, whatever. But then she told the truth. That was so shocking to me because
we were all waiting for this reveal.
Yeah.
For her to finally open up and tell them, because it had to be something coming up soon. I mean, I'm interested to see next episode, which we can get into predictions if she's going to tell them about the cult. I think that will be really, really interesting. So she says she's been working with the British men of letters. Sam goes, but we have a history. And she says they've been doing good work and saving a lot of people. The boys can actually learn from them. And Sam says they have their own toolkit, which works just fine, and mentions the abuse, and that Sam and Dean don't trust the British men of letters. And she says family is important, but they need to hear her out.
Okay, whatever. They can hear her out, but then they need to say to her, what do they want from you? What is their agenda? They're not just going to help us, because clearly there's been some weird stuff going on with, they don't trust them. So what do they want? What are they telling Mary? Is she just going on the fact that we're going to work together? Like, why are you here now? Where'd you come from? Like, what is the deal here? They need to tell her to ask.
And to get more details, which I think that Mr. Ketch is going to be onto very quickly if that does happen. He's going to know something's up and why she's, all of a sudden kind of asking questions about stuff versus just going along with it, playing along with what they want, but still kind of doing it her way. Which gets us to the final scene where we see Rowena drinking some coffee. Crowley appears saying what she did was low even for her and it wasn't right. And basically find out that Crowley says there was a spiteful reason for her to send Gavin to his death. And she said she cared for Oscar and she loved that child more than she loved Crowley, the boy that she had to kill to remove the mark of Cain. And this time she got to watch Crowley suffer the loss of a child. And this was payback.
Evil. And you saw the pain in her face.
Shriveled hot.
Yeah, and she was pained by, you know, she still is not over losing Oscar, so, and she's just so bitter, and she really wanted that revenge, but I really felt bad for Crowley.
I did too. And I mean, I felt from the beginning when we saw her with Oscar, there was love. Mm-hmm. We saw that connection. Did you feel like there was that much of a bond between Gavin and Crowley?
I think that there was a bond. It wasn't so like lovey-dovey or but it was it was
important.
Bond.
And somebody said we saw him in season 6, so we've known about him for 6 years now. Mm-hmm.
Crowley
and Gavin.
It's his son, you know, so of course he's going to care. And then Gavin obviously cares about his dad because he wasn't just about to peace out and go back in time without saying goodbye.
No,
you know?
It meant something to him too. Mm-hmm. But he did it for the greater good.
So, and honestly, the whole, like the last scene with Crowley is just him staring out into space. He's obviously very troubled by what just happened.
I did feel bad for Crowley. I mean, but this is why their relationship is so, Crowley and Rowena's relationship is so interesting and so just, you know, it's got all these layers to it because we do obviously see at times Crowley helping Rowena and vice versa, but we really know the underbelly of it all is that there is some major resentment on both sides. And now this gives Crowley even more reason to dislike Rowena
and it's interesting that they
work against her.
And they've both been at the point of like, I want to kill the other one. Like, Rowena wants to kill Crowley. Crowley wants to kill Rowena. However, they never have gone through with that. And they still, like you said, help each other. So it's just, there are so many layers. And it is interesting to watch. And I think that, you know, there's manipulation from both sides at times.
Absolutely. I think that, I mean, essentially, you see a little bit of manipulation in the entire show from Sam and Dean sometimes with each other, with Mr. Ketch, obviously.
That's the whole point of this being called Family Feud.
Yep. There's a lot more going on, deeper rooted issues than just what we see on the surface. Our final closeout, which I almost felt like was a little bit of a preview, aside from the preview that we found, was we see Sam and Dean talking with Mary, having this conversation to hear her out. Crowley's a little bit teary-eyed. And Kelly and Dagon leaving the warehouse. They're obviously going off together. She's trusting her to take care of her. And Lucifer is in chains in hell and calls out to Dagon. So there's going to be big stuff with that. Let's get into some predictions before we finish up here today.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right. So Mary says there's a better way, and it's what the British Men of Letters are doing. And basically Mick says they're going to exterminate every last vampire in America. So we've got another Case of the Week episode next week happening. Hopefully we do get to see what goes on between Lucifer and Dagon. I want to see that. I want to see that conversation. I want to know what's happening there. I want to know what message he's relaying to Kelly. I want to find out, and I hope Mary mentions the cult. Do you think that that's going to happen?
It's for her to talk
for
about
her to
that,
tell the boys that she got the colt, that it came from Ramiel.
I don't know. I saw a comment earlier on from Rowena saying that he thinks Crowley will reveal Mary has the colt.
Ooh.
Because Crowley knows what he brought to Ramiel, and he only took the one object.
If Mary isn't honest with them and it serves Crowley's purpose to kind of call her out for something, for her keeping that from them, yes, he'll be the one who'll tell her.
Because not only did Rowena like kind of push for this whole thing for Gavin to be, you know, sent back in time, but the boys, they really just pushed for it too. They were on board, so maybe he's feeling betrayed by the boys and he just wants to stir up some trouble.
Well, and he's pissed because Lucifer's baby's out there. They didn't do anything to stop this, and they haven't found her yet. So, I mean, I think it'll be interesting if Lucifer... I mean, do you think Dagon's going to be able to get Lucifer out of the chains?
I don't know. Maybe. I think it might be more of a... They're like connecting on on another level for a little bit.
And sharing information about the baby?
Yeah.
When
is she going to have this baby?
I mean, she's definitely showing. So we're 6 episodes forward or 5 episodes forward from what we were when we left, and she's definitely showing. So it feels like she's at like the probably 3 or 4 month mark. So in the first trimester of her pregnancy, which would make sense for 12 episodes from now, or 10 episodes from now for the season finale, for her to be having the baby.
Right.
It's, they basically do 15 episodes and each one is split up. That's my thought right now.
Ooh, this is good. Art Master Austin Prophet. Do you guys think Crowley will make a deal with Lucifer to get revenge on Rowena or get Gavin back again? Do you think that he would be more selfish, though, and he wanted to take his revenge out on Lucifer as opposed to...
I don't think he's going to ask him to get Gavin back. I think he's going to let Gavin go.
But
for now.
Revenge
and
on
I don't
Rowena.
think he's going to really ask Lucifer at this point, not for any favors.
Because he's got his own plan with him?
Because he's got his own agenda with him. And he doesn't want to give Lucifer any power or any idea that he's helped in any way. He wants to show him that he's boss, that he doesn't need Lucifer's help. I think that's what I'm going with.
Right, and he's got to look strong in front of Lucifer too. He can't.
If he looks weak, Lucifer. I mean, we don't want.
He feeds on
Crowley
that.
Lucifer feeds off of that. And how can Lucifer call him master when he's helping him?
Oh yeah, the alpha vamp. I did see him in the previews too.
Yes, we got the alpha vamp back, which is why Mick's gonna kill.
Do you think we're gonna have success in that next week in killing all the vampires? And then maybe the boys will be like, huh.
Maybe they are good.
That was pretty effective.
I think if they can kill that one with whatever fancy tools they have, and if the boys team up with the British Men of Letters, it's going to be far easier with all of them working together. And Dean is going to be way excited to use some of those fun toys.
Yeah, but they're
Maybe
still
the grenade launcher.
They're still not going to trust them, though.
No.
And we shouldn't either.
Trust is earned. Trust is earned, and it has not been earned in this situation, not yet, especially since they're so fresh off of the torture and everything. So, thanks, Austin Prophet, though, for your thoughts and stuff. Appreciate it. Thank you guys all for joining in the chat and talking with us and trying to keep up with it. That's all we have for today. Katie, for the next couple months while you're gone, where can everybody chat with you?
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter at Katie E.E. Campbell. That's Katie with 3 E's Campbell. Instagram at KatieCampbell13 and YouTube.com/KatieCampbellOnline. Make sure you guys tweet me. Tell me what you're thinking about all the episodes. I will be watching, tweeting about it as well. I want to talk to you guys about this, so keep in touch.
And this is Lyndsey here. You guys can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Lyndsey Wegner. That's LYNDSEYWEGNER, or my blog, lyndseyWegner.blogspot.com. Make sure to check out our other AfterBuzz TV shows that air here at AfterBuzz. We've got Vampire Diaries coming up on Sundays. We've got The Magicians. We've got Riverdale. All sorts of fun stuff. Anything that'll tickle your fancy, we've got it. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Katie's not leaving us for good. She's coming back. We'll see you all next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.